Good evening, ladies and gentlemen. Welcome to the award-winning Paul Brown Show. This evening, my guest will be Miss Janet Butts. She's the Executive Director for Pennies for Hope Project. How you doing there, Ms. Butts?
I'm doing great, Paul. How are you today?
Awesome. Thank you for coming on the show.
Good. I really want to thank you very much for having me on. I'm excited to be here.
Tell the audience a little bit about Janet Butts.
Wow. You know, Paul, I'm pretty much just like any other person, except that I was born and raised in New York City, which I guess now in the South, you might as well call this like the Southern New York City, since most of the people here are Northerners at one point or another. But I was born and raised in a small community called El Barrio, which is on the Upper East Side in New York City, and very filled with culture. Was a community type of community. And as a matter of fact, I was talking with a very dear friend of mine earlier today and telling her that, you know, that was the kind of community where everybody was family. And so I was raised with a sense of value and with a sense of community and with a sense of family, because even our neighbors were our moms and our pops back in the day. So I was born to a Puerto Rican mother and an African-American father, rich with strong upbringing of values and the things that most children need, and that it is essential for us as we grow up so that we can take those things with us. Now, along the way, there might be some hiccups and things, but for the most part, I would say that my parents, as young as they were when they had me, did a great job in giving us, me and my two sisters, the skills and the trades and the thoughts that we needed to grow up and be wonderful citizens.
Defend Pennies for Hope. Where did that name come from? And tell us a little bit about your program.
That is probably one of the things I love talking about the most these days, Paul, is the Pennies for Hope Project of Charlotte. I am the founder and the executive director of the organization. One of the most rewarding things about the Pennies for Hope Project is how it all got started. There is definitely history that led up to the onset and the establishment of the organization. Essentially what it was is when my now 10-year-old daughter was 7, she saw a commercial when we were preparing to go to church that really kind of stunned her, because even though there's certain things that I might be familiar with because of something that I may have encountered or dealt with growing up, one thing that my daughter was not familiar with was the essence of hunger and of homelessness. And so she happened to see a commercial about hungry children in another country, and it actually moved her to the point that she was just speechless. And if you know anything about my household, you know when my little girl is speechless, something is amiss. And so I checked in on her to see what was going on. And she was so struck by the whole thing that she saw, the children with the bloated stomachs, them crying, the flies, and then again, the whole concept of hunger was something she just couldn't wrap her mind around. And so, you know, I just kind of comforted her and consoled her, but that was just the beginning, because she made a decision at that time that she was going to do something about hunger, and that was at the age of 7. She wanted to meet their needs. To the best of her ability at that time, she told me, "Mommy, we have to help the children." And so that kind of sowed the seed for that, the foundation of the organization. We moved on, and I knew that there was not an opportunity for us to go to Africa at the time. So Paul, we brought it right here to Charlotte in our backyard, and we took the vision and we watered it and we nurtured it and we made it come alive right here in Charlotte. It started out very simple: bag lunches, food, clothing, and reaching out to those that were less fortunate and that had less than even we had at the time. And people began to see our passion for it. And the more we did, the more people sowed, and the more people sowed, the more we did. It got its name because we knew that we were onto something, but we never really kind of gave it any thought about it evolving into anything. We were just doing what we thought came natural to us, and that was to help other people. But one day when she found a penny in a shopping center she declared that we could now begin to save money so that we could help people more. And so the Pennies for Hope Project, the name evolved from that situation. And so we are now a 501c3 not-for-profit organization centered right here on the east side of Charlotte. And we're very excited to continue to grow as an organization and to meet more needs, and ultimately to be the primary provider of hope for all people here in Charlotte.
What are some of the challenges that you have had to face while starting your program?
You know, with all things that you endeavor to do, especially the good, you face challenges. One of the primary challenges that I faced was looking at individuals that were once me and seeing their situation through their eyes in a compassionate way, much like it was not seen for me in the compassionate way through others. What I mean by that is this is a judgment-free zone. Whenever you are in a situation where you are meeting the needs of others, you have to be absolutely certain that you walk in a spirit of compassion at all times. And so one of the challenges is that you know that not everybody has good intentions. Correct. That people come to you sometime with really no needs at all. But it's your job to understand that you were placed there for that purpose, not to judge, not to be concerned about what other people are doing or not doing, but to be there to meet a need. That's one of the challenges. As with any nonprofit, you face financial challenges. You face the challenges of having a young child in your home when you are a single parent growing up and raising 2 children, really, essentially, because your organization takes a big chunk of your life and of your time, especially if you want to conduct yourself in a spirit of excellence, which we do. And so that's one of the challenges, is being a single mother and wanting to consistently, you know, be there for your child, but knowing that you also have to be there for the organization as it grows and develops, and being able to juggle those things. You learn time management very quickly.
Okay. So what field area do you work with as far as young ladies, homeless, substance abuse, any type of...
That's my pride and joy right there. Not necessarily clinical in a substance abuse capacity, although that is my ultimate desire, is to be in a certified or in a licensed situation where I can minister to emotional and those type of needs at a deeper level. Right now, Paul, basically what we do is we meet people's physiological needs. And so we are a disaster relief organization. We help individuals that are displaced from their homes, either to fire or to flood or to no fault of their own, natural disasters in that instance. We help individuals that have recently become homeless due to perhaps a loss of income. And so primarily what we do is that we embrace a community that most are content to turn their backs on, because you just kind of want to treat it like it's not something that you don't want to get involved in. In other words, at the Pennies for Hope Project, we roll up our sleeves and we get dirty every now and then. But with that said, the other area that we assist, and this is my pride and joy because you talked about the young women. I see women on a day-to-day basis come in and out of my office that make a decision to keep a child that they've become pregnant with. And so one of the programs of the Pennies for Hope Project is the Shower Blessings Enrichment Program, which is the one that you and I were talking about. And the Shower Blessings Enrichment Program is where we just embrace women and celebrate them for bringing life and giving life to, you know, our community. But it's not enough for us to just support them with resources that they need for themselves, which we do. We provide maternity clothing for the moms, and we provide essentials that they need during their pregnancy. But we also want to give them skills and empowerment that will take them even beyond. Many of the ladies are very young. And so it's about mentoring. It's about loving unconditionally. It's about celebrating them for their decision. It's about just really getting involved in their lives to the degree that they will let us to, and love them through their process. And so even though from a clinical perspective, We don't, from a spiritual perspective, our approach is that we love everybody, no matter what their situation is, no matter what their concerns are, no matter what their decisions are. We embrace them right where they are.
You know, I applaud you dealing with the substance abuse area, because I'm a recovering addict. It'll be 15 years, August 25th. And you know, and there has to be a change within your thinking. God, he blesses you. You know, he gives you the opportunity to change, but you have to make it into yourself that you want to change your lifestyle.
Paul, I'm so glad you brought that up, because I think what may come as a surprise to a lot of people is that the Pennies for Hope project came into existence well before my daughter saw that commercial. Because like you, Paul, I've had to overcome some challenges from some decisions that I've made in life that were not colorful. I've been in the dark places. I've made decisions to things that I'm not proud of. But my reason for bringing the Pennies for Hope project to fruition is as a reasonable service to give back to those women that are literally dying from lack of knowledge, to be able to embrace them and to get them to understand. I'm a firm believer that you can't tell me how to raise my children if you haven't had children. That you can't, it doesn't make sense for me to get into a conversation with somebody about rocket science if I don't know anything about the space program.
Right.
But the one thing that I can talk about is overcoming addiction. The one thing that I can talk about is overcoming alcoholism. The one thing that I can't talk about is the power and the influence that God had over me to take me to the other side, to bring me to a point of overcoming, so that then my reasonable service to him would be to go back to a community of women that are dying because they don't know their worth. They don't know their value. They don't know who they are in the kingdom. And so for me personally, this is a personal thing, because I am now doing what sometimes was not always extended to me, that love that wasn't extended to me, that judgment-free zone that I talked about earlier. It's important, but it's critical and it's vital to me to reach back to a community of women so that they don't die in the mess, so that they don't die in the darkness, so that even if after being here with you today, one person will be reached to say, she did what? She came from where? She started how? Then my work is never in vain. It's never in vain.
And that's all I want to do with the show. You know, just bless someone. If I can bless just one person, my job has been done with this show. You know, and it's programs like yourself, whereas I'm able to educate and inform this community. It's a blessing, and I give all the praises to God.
Absolutely. And I really want to express my gratitude for having this platform to be able to talk to people about some of the programs and services offered through our organization, which I find to be a very precious organization. But of course, all mothers feel that way about their children.
How do you assist the young ladies that they've always seen nothing but hurt and pain?
One of the best ways that I feel that you can reach somebody, especially in a situation like that, is when you're open and transparent to share with them where you've been, where you've come from. You know, I think that success is measured differently in different people.
Correct.
So for me personally, overcoming addiction and overcoming alcoholism and overcoming promiscuity, there is a measure of success in that. But my success is in being able to touch the life of another woman who might be going through the same thing. So for me personally, it's just about saying, sweetie, I'm not just talking about what I heard. I'm talking about what I know. And to come from a perspective of knowing. Because if someone has an opportunity to have a conversation with somebody that's been there, done that, for me personally, I think that they're seeing it as more of a liberating, because they're not coming at you from a clinical perspective, which I'm not casting disparaging remarks. I mean, I'm going to get my degree and my certification in that someday as well. But I think that what I love the most about it is that right now I can talk about it from a real perspective. I can say to you, sister, I know. I get it. I understand. And the best part about it is being knowledgeable about the game. Because there is a lot of that goes on. So being able to be, you know, to come from a knowledge perspective on the